Hello, everyone. Welcome. Um, so about 4 weeks ago, in a class, I had revealed to the class, it was very vulnerable for me, that I had had a dream about a giant tsunami. In the dream at the time, I had seen that I was walking down the street with my younger sister. And as we got to the corner and I look over the perpendicular street, there was a giant wave that was almost 200 feet tall that was coming toward us. And I grabbed her and crossed the street and started running, trying to find safety. And I was trying to outrun this wave, and sure enough, I realized mid-block I couldn't outrun it. People were scurrying around the streets. There were street vendors, merchants, and I found a building on the same side of the sidewalk we were in. There was a small little booth. It looks Middle Eastern, not Middle Eastern, but Arabic, because the woman had a headscarf, the head cover, and I tried to climb this building. She had a young son, not young, teenage son, and I was trying to help everybody, including my sister, to climb the building to get to higher ground. And I woke up really disturbed by this. And at the time, I wasn't sure completely, and I didn't publish this because there are multiple reasons. I only talked to the class about it, to all of you intimately, because I feel a time when these knowing comes to me, particularly when I feel it's a big thing that's happening around the planet, I don't want to again be the guy that's always telling people that bad news or bad things are going to happen. It puts me in a very strange, unusual, and weird position. There's a huge burden and responsibility that I want to share it, yet at the same time, I don't want to be the person that's spreading any kind of fear or any kind of darkness. Plus, there's a part of me also that's always wondering, am I making this crap up? Am I creating this? Is this real? Right? There's a part of me that's conscious, that's constantly examining. And you went to an Ivy League school. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You should have a corporate job somewhere. What's going on? And so I kind of talked to the group about it, and I was very vulnerable. There was probably a sense of doom and fear in my voice as well. But I wanted to be honest, and I wanted to tell you, since you're my family and I'm sharing this ascension journey with you, I wanted to share this. And also I wanted to memorialize this recall, because it was on a Sunday. I know that I had the dream on a Saturday, on that Sunday morning. So I wanted to memorialize it in the event that something happens, that at least I know I had shared it somewhere. I had said it. Because when you get these visions, there is a great sense of you have to share this information with somebody, right? And so, after that, I kind of like the following on Monday. By Monday, I let it go. By Tuesday, I'm like, I'm not sharing this with anyone anymore. I'm not sending it to my email. I'm done. I'm done sharing, right? And I can say to you that it went out of my mind, except that Saturday night, this Saturday just passed, I had another dream of a tsunami. And this one was very different. I seem to have been in an office, kind of like similar vibe as the old office I used to work in, not the same, it didn't look exactly the same, but the same kind of vibe. And I'm trying to get home. I got out on the street and I go down this hill, and there's a bus stop. And when I got there, I realized I've been there before. I've seen this bus stop. But I couldn't, this place where the bus usually stopped. So at that moment, I'm lucid in the dream, because the moment I realize I've had this dream before, I've been there before, I'm lucid. I'm dreaming, this is a dream, I'm lucid in the dream, right? And at that moment, as I stood there in the sidewalk, I began to smell food, Caribbean food, Haitian food, Haitian food. And then I looked, there was a restaurant behind me, and then there is a bench on the sidewalk, kind of the edge of the sidewalk, where these older gentlemen, all of them look like they just ate, they are very satisfied. They're sitting and they're chatting with each other. There must have been 4 or 5 of them on the bench, long bench. Then in front of the bench, there is a car. And I remember thinking to myself, this is where the bus stopped. These people must be waiting for the bus. But they look like they had just eaten, they had just ate, and they look very happy and they were chatting. I don't remember what they were saying, but they were talking to each other. So and I'm telling you all this to make you understand how much detail, how vivid the dream was for me. This is in the middle of the night. I'm not sure exactly when, but 3 o'clock in the morning sounds about right to me. And when I looked, I moved toward the in front of the car because the car was basically partially blocking the bus stop. I saw that it was my father standing on the hood of the car, or sitting on the hood of the car. And he was bragging about his powers, something that he would normally do when he was alive, talking about my mom and then his second wife. And I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but I knew he was bragging, right? And as all of a sudden, I hear people running down the hill, and I looked up, I saw water coming down the hill toward us. I crossed the street, I ran, and as I ran, I had water resistance against me, water had reached me, and there was a small mount. I tried to reach the mount. There was a man behind me, millennial, maybe 20 something, 26, 24, that kind of age group. And he kind of said, grab the tree. And I grabbed the tree. And as I grabbed the tree, I went, we grabbed the branch of the tree. And then right on top of the mount was his building. And then he got us inside the building, and then we ended up an elevator, and we ended up in the floor of an apartment building. And I remember in the dream, it was very clear that I was taking debris from what looked like the tsunami, like leaves or things that were dirt or whatever, and I was putting them in the trash compactor in the hallway of the apartment building. And we went in his home, and he had 2 other roommates. So there was a 3, and it looked like, it's very hard to explain this if you've been in New York. When people are sharing room in New York, a lot of these landlords subdivide a normal apartment into multiple bedrooms to create space for multiple people to share. So it looked that kind of setup, and there was 1 bathroom, and all of us were queuing to try to dry up. And then the next thing I know, I'm in the street. The government or the authority, whoever it was for the municipality, cleaned up everything, and everything was normal. So I woke up this morning, and I called, when I was on my coffee, I called Marjorie, and I told her the dream. And she was like, that's strange. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that means. Then I had lunch with my friend Georgie around 1 o'clock. And I told him, I texted him in the morning. I told him I have another dream of a tsunami. He said, oh, tell me at lunch, let's go to lunch. I went to lunch, we talked, I told him the dream. When I got back to the apartment, there it was. There was a tsunami because of underground volcano around Tonga, which is a small Polynesian island, which is off the Queensland coast around Australia. And it set up a series of tsunamis. In Tonga, they still don't have communication right now. We don't know if there's any death. It looks from some videos that we're taking that it was not extensive, but the tsunami did happen. And there was tsunami all the way, even in San Diego, Santa Cruz in California. There was tsunami, not big, about 1 foot or 2 feet of water that washed ashore. So the tsunami did occur. And Japan, I know we had multiple tsunami warning yesterday because we have one of my students is in Japan. She was very grateful that I had said what I said because she was tsunami prepared in the event that she needed to evacuate. I wanted to share that with you because I want to talk today about what it feels like to sense the future, and how does the future actually collapse onto this reality when you're perceiving it. And then the second part will be about the gratitude that I have in my heart today for the perception. Although for the most part for me, because what I perceive, particularly with the timing and the kind of moment in history that humanity is crossing, there's a lot of fear and a lot of darkness. And what I perceive typically is things that are catastrophic. And it's terrifying to me initially, and it's even more burdensome for me to share. And I want to talk about this for a moment, and because the first dream that I had 4 weeks ago, the wave was immense. It was 250 feet, 200 feet at least. Okay, and the damage that I foresaw from this was catastrophic. The dream that I had yesterday during the night, the damage looked minimal, because I'm telling you, within a few hours, the streets were clear. It was no big deal. So in that time frame, whatever perception that I saw around 4 weeks ago was actually what was going to happen at that time. What did we end up doing between that time frame 4 weeks ago and now? All of us are playing to Kuan Yin, asking for mercy. I know I'm praying to her twice a day. I know I'm doing, and plus I'm doing the Kuan Yin Heart Sutra. I am begging and I'm asking not only mercy for me, but mercy for the whole planet, mercy for everyone. Because Kuan Yin is she who heals the cry of the world. So when you're able to connect to a higher power and ask for intercession, even if it's an omen, meaning because there are two types of future when you perceive things. One is a prediction that if you continue to behave in that manner, this is what's going to happen. But the predictions can change if you change your behavior. Omen, typically you cannot change them. When I have these dreams, like the dream that I had on September 5th, right before 9/11, I saw the whole thing. But when you have these dreams, you cannot stop them. But what you can do, if you ask for mercy, if enough people pray for mercy, you can actually soften the landing, which I think that's what happened in this instance, because it could have been much worse. It could have been the exact vision that I saw 4 weeks ago. Gigantic waves that crashes all over around the west. Yesterday there was tsunami warning all along the west coast of California, northern California, because again of this, the volcano was still erupting. There were multiple warnings. It's an underground ocean volcano that erupted. So what I'm trying to say is that I didn't see the volcano, I didn't see any of this, but I saw the end results. And when I have these dreams, particularly when they're dreams, visions, they are generally predictions for me. When they show up in my dream, it's an omen, it's a future, meaning what I mean by omen, it's a future that you cannot change. That future is already decided collectively. How? We collectively, by either action or inaction, humanity has decided this is what we're going to experience. It's not God that's doing it. We're doing it. We're in charge. God has nothing to do with it. God is the unmoved mover. And so in order for that omen to achieve a wave function collapse to manifest, if we can begin to ask higher powers for mercy, if we begin to beseech them and beg them for mercy, if we can begin to, you know, and it doesn't have to be, it could be Mother Mary, it could be Archangel Michael, it could be Source, it could be nature, it could be Allah, it could be, you know, it doesn't matter. You ask your higher power, however it shows up for you, for mercy. Because some people doesn't, you know, Kuan Yin is such a Buddhist and Chinese thing, a lot of people don't relate to it. Whatever higher power shows up for you, you ask for help, you ask for mercy. And I'm since this happened yesterday, I got back home after lunch. It must have been 2:30 in the afternoon when I realized this had occurred. And the rest of the day, I was in gratitude that it wasn't worse. I was so humble, I was so touched. And I began to realize, not me, but all of us, all of you are praying to Kuan Yin, listening to the Kuan Yin mantras, asking for mercy. You somehow, we collectively somehow had managed to alter the landing of that future that was already decided. So instead of the car spinning completely out of control and going over the cliff, there was a break, there was a way that the car was corralled into coming to us. It still skidded, it still went down, but somehow there was a break so that it was not the worst thing that could happen in the world. And I am glad that I shared it with the class. I'm also glad that I didn't share it with the rest of the planet, because I didn't send it out in mass email. I didn't publicize it on Instagram or on Facebook or any of that stuff. I didn't do any of that stuff. I'm glad I didn't, because I feel very vulnerable when I get these insights, because there's a part of me that always feels that you're making it up. It's your overactive imagination, plus it's your internal fear. You know, there was another part of me that started analyzing it. I'm great at spiritual psychology. The water is your emotion. You're filled with fear. It's your problem. It's not something that's really going to happen. You are a mess, and you're projecting that mess into a dream, right? And this is your own crap. And stop it. Don't share that information. You're revealing too much about your internal the internal struggle that's going in your subconscious mind. But there's a part of me that knew as well. That's not what it is. Because when these things precipitate and they show up in my dreams this way, that future is decided. It's going to happen. But how it lands can still alter depending on what the community, you know, the 12, the 144, and 144,000, depending on what we do, we can alter it. We cannot stop it, but we can make sure that the landing is softer. Any questions, any comments about this so far?
Yeah, I came up with the same conclusion that you just mentioned. That is because of our prayer, and not only us that are praying like that. Because there's a lot of prediction with water and tsunami that's going on all around, and there's a lot of people praying.
Mm-hmm.
And us including,
Mm-hmm.
that can alter the course of the landing of what's going on. And I myself came up to that conclusion today also. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Of course, when a future is decided like this, for example, during that, around the insight that I got around 9/11, I was not the only one. I know so many people who had dreams inside, people who actually saw the building on, collapse. Multiple. I was not the only one. When something is precipitating like this from the ether and is about to happen, people who are plugged in as humanity, as human beings, we are plugged in the collective unconscious. Many people will receive the broadcast. So of course people are seeing it. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. It's not some sort of unique gift. It's just that since I am very connected to, my mission is about the planetary guidance for us to get to the new Earth, and these are the event that's going to shape the bridge that we need to create for us to get there. We are bridge builders. Remember in that channeling that old Melchizedek said that we are boring and opening into the heavens, and that all of us are nothing more than engineers and architects, and we are the beam and the structure that will create this bridge between this 3D reality and the higher realities. And this tunnel will connect us to once that is done, will connect us to an already existing structure that exists from the planetary level to the solar level, from the solar level into the galactic level, from the galactic level into the multi-universal, and so on, all the way back into source. So I just wanted to share that, and the fact that I feel I'm humbled. There are times where this ability bothers me, because I want to see nice things. I wish it was just butterfly and rainbow and unicorn, but that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the struggle that humanity has to go through, and they're giving me the warning ahead of time so that I can help the community be prepared. When I got the text on WhatsApp today from Yumiko in Japan, when she said that she was prepared and she was very grateful for that information, because when it happened, she kept getting this alert, tsunami alert on everyone in Japan on their phone, that people should be prepared and get away from the ocean and all that and so forth. She said she already knew, because I had spoken about this, and she was ready. She was ready. And so that made me feel good that at least if one person or more gets prepared and is better ready for whatever these changes are about to land on us, I'm very grateful for that. And this idea, any other question, any other comments before I move a little bit further on this? Now, I don't know what's going to happen with that volcano. Hopefully it will subside, but it might continue. I saw some videos today of the people from Tonga had posted online, although now it's only a brief satellite communication. The main island is in the ashes, the plume of ashes that came from the ocean have completely darkened the sky. People or the telecommunication is not, things have been cut off. There are some planes that are going to be leaving from Sydney, from the reporting I saw today, leaving Sydney, going there with relief, etc. But the videos that I watched that were put online as it was happening, the volcano was rumbling, and you hear these giant booming explosions that were coming from the ocean before the tsunami, before it actually exploded. So when a volcano is coming up, it takes sometimes hours before the big explosion occurs. And there were people on the beach that were listening to it and that started running when they began to realize that it was about to explode. And then after that, all communication got cut off. So I think it's going to be okay. I'm hoping that there are no more rumbling coming from that particular volcano, and that maybe that the worst part of this prediction, or this perception rather, this experience has passed, and you know, and the people of Tonga and the people of the Ring of Fire, you know, because as of those warnings were removed yesterday out of Queensland in Australia, and the people in Northern California, the warnings were removed as well, because the volcano started dying down. The eruption started dying down. Why do we have to experience this? I don't know. Earth changes, the karma, the collective karma of humanity, us doing to the earth what no real awakened steward would have ever done. Us losing our soul and putting greed and the exploitation of the planet first. There are multiple reasons, okay? And I'm not here to try to interpret it or litigate or defend us as human beings for what's going on right now. All I know is that I have this perception, and when I perceive it, I have to find a way to share it, but to share it in a safe manner to me. Because at the moment, 9/11, I didn't publish it either. I shared it with one friend. And on September 5th, I was leaving to go to Italy. And by the time she said, you have to do dream work, it's something important. I said, yes, you're right. I spoke to her in the morning around maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. But I was getting my passport, I was folding my clothes, I was getting all my paperwork, my ticket, I was getting ready to go. And I had a car that was coming to pick me up. And by the time all of this is said and done, I completely forgot about it until I was in Rome. And September 11, I come back to the lobby of the hotel. I saw people scurrying and moving about. I didn't pay any attention. I went back into my room. I turned on the TV as I got in, and I saw that the plane was hitting the tower. And this is when I realized that, and the dream came back. And I realized, okay, this is the dream that I had when I was leaving. So what I'm trying to say is that perceptions of the future can be a huge burden, can be a huge responsibility. For those of you who are intuitive or psychic, and I'm not claiming to be the only one, if you are perceiving this, there is a great sense of responsibility and care, because emotionally, you're walking through coal. There's a part of you that's beginning to interpret that what you're perceiving is your own overactive imagination. You're fabricating this, you're making it up. Okay, that's one part of it. There's another part that, like, why do I have to say this? Because there's an impetus that if you're getting this information, you're supposed to do something with it. God is not just giving you the information for yourself. So the information and the intuitive insight, you're getting it for a reason. And who are you going to share it with? And emotionally, you have to feel safe, because you don't want people to ridicule you, to think. So many prophets, and the Bible is filled with them, that as they were speaking, including John, speaking in the desert, that was ridiculed, like people made fun of, and treated them like they were cuckoo and they were insane. And no one want to be ostracized and want to feel like I'm the weird one. No one wants to feel that feeling, okay? And including me. And so when you're perceiving these things and you're getting these insights, sometimes there is a great impetus to just be quiet and not say anything to anyone and close your mouth. And I have to tell you that at the end of every year, when the Galactic Witching Council gives me their channeling and the prediction for the next year, it takes me a week and a half to get the courage to send it through an email or publish it online. Because I have to, every year I have to walk the same walk. You're going to be ridiculed. Everyone is going to make fun of you. They're gonna look at, and this is something for my entire life, I've been this way. My entire life, I've been ridiculed for this. And it goes very deep. So all these insecurities come up for me as far as what do I do? What do I say? How do I say it? And in this instance, I didn't feel secure enough to send it as an email. And I didn't think it was going to be relevant or it was going to affect anybody. But I'm very glad that between 4 weeks ago and now, Kuan came in and gave us all this prayer. And there were all of the stuff that came in. And because we've all been doing it, and again, people around the world have been praying and asking for mercy, it affected the landing. And for that, I am profoundly and deeply grateful, because what I saw in the first dream was terrifying. Okay, it was a giant wall of water that was just rushing, leveling everything in its way. So that gratitude, that space of like sensing, and I'm grateful to Kuan Yin, the higher powers. I'm grateful to all of you. I'm grateful for all of you co-creating this with me, because I alone cannot remove that kind of karma. That big thing of water that I saw, I alone, I'm not capable of doing this. So for all of us who are praying around the world, for all of us who are begging and asking God for mercy, for all of us who are asking Mother Mary, what's his name, Ganesh, the remover of obstacle, all of these other deities and higher beings and celestial hosts, all of us who are praying and asking for help, I am deeply grateful, deeply grateful. All collective prayers were heard. And not only were they heard, but they were answered. They could not remove the event, but they removed the major sting out of the event. Because we're creating the event. We are the one, because of our inactions or actions that we have taken, we are the one that are creating these events. We have to take the responsibility for it. And they just could, the only thing they can do is diffuse the severity of the experience. They can only diffuse the severity of the experience. And for me, this experience is also very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very educational, because going forward for the other predictions that the Galactic Region Council are talking about in their prediction for 2021, there's so many things that are big and heavy that I know it's out of my pay grade. I cannot change any of these things. But if enough of us now start praying and asking for mercy about these other things, that also could change. The landing for them could change. And to be perfectly honest, I'm going to be perfectly frank with you, the tsunami was not in my head when I was asking for mercy. I was praying for mercy for the karma of humanity in general. I was praying for mercy for my own stuff, for how disempowered, how when I'm being overwhelmed by picking up the fear of the planet, I'm asking a way for me to disconnect. One of the problems I was having is that I couldn't sleep well, because I was picking up too much from empathing what the world was going through. And I would wake up 2 o'clock in the morning and then go back to sleep until 5 in the morning. Sometimes 1 o'clock until 5 in the morning, and feeling exhausted, feeling tired. So to be able to, the moment I started doing all the prayers with Kuan Yin, and particularly listening to the mantras, it shifted me. I was able to go to sleep. I go to sleep now. I go right to sleep because I feel protected by her mercy. I'm surrounded by her love and by her mercy. And I'm able to go to sleep, and she who hears the cry of the world is able to protect me. Now, the last 2 classes that I had done, I spoke then about the prayer wheel and the mantras, and I did an extensive presentation on last two classes on Kuan Yin and how she operates and her power and her ability and what she's able to do for us. But Mother Mary equally is also the Christian version of Kuan Yin. So if that's your connection, then you can lean on Mother Mary, asking her for mercy, divine mercy, so that you can reach the same goal. And again, for me, what I'm experiencing as of yesterday and also today is profound gratitude, deep gratitude that I'm able to have perceive this to begin with, because up to that point, the reason I was struggling up till this experience just now, I didn't realize that the omen, the futures that have been decided, I didn't realize that I knew intellectually, but I've never personally experienced it, which is that I didn't realize that the landing could be softened. When I had other experiences, and I've shared with you that other experience before, years ago, this is going back over almost 20 years ago, I had a client, and I knew they were Swiss, she was Swiss, and I knew her family. I visited them in Switzerland, and she came to do a reading. At the time, I used to read the tarot, and I'm not going to read the tarot anymore. For that was one of the reasons. And I did a cut for her, and I read it very differently. The kind of reading that I did, if you didn't want your business on the street, do not ask me to read for you, because it's an autopsy in vivo. I will know everything. Okay. So the last cut, it's 3 cuts. The last cut, it's the 12 months of the year, going from where we are right now. And for each month, there's 3 cards. I must have been on the second month. All of a sudden, there were flashes of blood. I mean, something absolutely horrendous. And I started screaming and saying, no, no, no. And I push all the cards. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. She's like, what happened? I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I was so upset for what I was seeing. And I remember she said, what happened? What? I said, I can't look at it. I can't look at it. I'm done. I'm done with the reading. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. She said, what did you see? What did you see? After I calmed down, she went to make me a cup of tea. We sat down, and I calmed down. She says, what did you see? What did you see? I said, I can't describe it because I don't want to look at it. This is a future that I don't want to see. I said, it's a death, and it's either related to your sister or your mother. I saw these are the 2 pieces of the thing that I picked up. And part of the reason why I was so upset, I know these women. I've stayed in their homes when I was in Switzerland. And she says to me, is there anything that can be done to alleviate and stop this? I said, I don't know if this can change, because I think it's an omen. It's a future that cannot be changed. But however, here's a prayer. Say this prayer, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. She went home. She said the prayer. But at the time, I thought it was related to her sister. So she said the prayer for her sister and her sister's boyfriend, and who I also met. 4 days later, she called me. She said, Pierre, you never believe this. I said, what happened? Well, they both own a scaffolding company that put the scaffolding bridge on sidewalk. And whilst he was installing one of the scaffoldings, he accidentally, while he was drilling something on the wall, there are tram all over Switzerland in their town in Basel, where there is a high power electricity, and there is a thing above the tram that connects to it. He somehow managed with the metal to connect to one of those high power. He got shocked and fell back and he actually hit the floor, and apparently he died. He went into the tunnel of light until a hand came back to me and said, "This is not your time," and put it back into his body. So when she told me this, I was so happy. And the reason I hate the omens is that it's a future I can't change. If it is a prediction, I can always sit down with a client or a student and say, okay, if you continue to behave this way, this is what's going to happen. If, but if you change this, that, you're going to alter the future. You can correct it. You can change it. An omen is a future that's decided, that cannot change. And this is the part that scares me. At least I feel that I can direct the people in my care correctly. And then I was like, we passed this, blah, blah, blah. A week and a half later, she called me and her voice was very small. I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "Pierre, you're never gonna believe this." I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "My mother's sister, my aunt." And I said, "Which one? The one that I met?" Because I had gone to a party with them in the Swiss Alps. She said, she said, "No, you didn't meet her. She was unmarried. She was in her 50s. She finally found a man. They married. And they went on their honeymoon on a Swiss lake. He was swimming and the boat cut him in half. That's what I saw. It wasn't her sister, it was her mother's sister. That's exactly what I saw. And when you have an omen like this, you can't change it. Now, I'm saying this to you because of that experience. That's why I don't want to see these omens, because it feels counter. It's not. There's nothing I can do to change nothing. Giving the bad news. We have an old proverb back in the Caribbean that says, "He who says, 'Here is the snake,' kill the snake." I don't want to be the person responsible for this, and everybody's going to blame me that I'm the one that said it, right? But this experience that I just had right now this is why I'm so grateful for it. I realize that one person praying now is not enough to change an omen. That if we, all of us, start praying for mercy, because I was not praying for the tsunami was out of my head. I'm praying for mercy for everything. And somehow that prayer, all of us are doing together, manage somehow to alter the landing of that specific experience. And that to me feels much better emotionally as a human being than something I cannot change. I might as well go sit in the corner and wait for it to happen. That feels much better emotionally for me. And I'm still negotiating this as the ability to see, particularly, we're just at the beginning of this bridge. And as an engineer and architect making this bridge, we're just at the beginning of it. There's going to be more and more of these perceptions. And I have to find a way to emotionally acclimate myself better to what's going on. And I know many of you have those perceptions as well. And you have those dreams as well. And I'm trying to have a conversation going so that we can figure out emotionally, because we're still human beings, how do we exist with that higher intuitive insight, and can we alter anything? And the answer is apparently right now is yes. Questions?
We can become intercessors.
Yeah.
That's what the Catholic Church, that's what I was taught in the Catholic Church, that we become intercessors for mercy and compassion.
Yeah.
And as God, whatever all these things that people are seeing and all these things that's going on into the world, that we are creating collectively, we can intercede if many people pray and intercede for the mercy, the compassion of God, and everything else. We could shift it to be something like another future that we can create. Not with, I mean, it's us that will be creating um, something else, something more, alleviate something. We can do this for the corona. We can do this for everything that is happening right now in the world.
Mhm.
And we will achieve that mercy. We can achieve it. And I truly believe that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. And this is the reason why I've been sending all these prayers to everybody. That's all I've been saying, sending in my email list now. And I've been posting it online. It's just prayers. We need to pray more. In my spiritual practice, I realized that I was, all balanced spiritual practice must have meditation and prayer. Meditation is listening to God. Prayer is talking to God. And I realized that my spiritual practice up to that point was more meditation focused, and it needs now to be more prayer centered.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
even if we are home and we don't think that we are active in what we're doing, but remember also that the war that's going on, it's also a spiritual war.
mhm,
It's also a spiritual war. So whatever is happening in another dimension and manifesting here with the archon and everything else influencing people to say things, to do this, to that. And we cannot stand by and say that we cannot do anything about it because the collective already did that. But no, we can. We can be home and we can be praying, and enough people who are praying can just, you know, anyway, that's my, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay.
That's,
It's good.
yeah,
It's good. It's good.
yeah,
The idea of us, again, it cannot be one person. One person against the collective action or inaction of almost 8 billion people is going to make very little dent. But when enough of us begin to uh, 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 pray and begin to actively participate in this, it has real effect, and that's a perfect example for me. And again, the tsunami was out of my. In fact, when I had the second tsunami during on Saturday during night, I was completely surprised because I was not thinking about no tsunami. This was not something that was in my radar. I let it go. I let it go. By Monday night, I had released all of this. So it's showing me that collectively we're capable of a lot more. We're co-creative partners. And if we are collectively trying to work together in lockstep, we will create a power that is much stronger than the sum of the parts. We will be able to reach the highest level of the heavens. And depending on what our intention is, we'll be able to. And again, I don't want you to think that we are God and we are all, because there's all, our ego can always come in the way and say, look what I did. I can alter, I can change this. It's not, and if you don't have that, you don't have gratitude. This is a trip. Your ego is getting in the way. What we need to experience in this and understanding this is that future cannot be changed neither. It could not be changed. But what can happen is the lending of that future. Because humanity has to experience this, because the burden and the discomfort that the planet is collectively experiencing right now about this experience, for example, with the tsunami, that experience is needed for many of us to awaken to the damage and realize and become awakened to the damage. Because karma, it does not mean you cannot change anything and I'm the poor victim, poor me, this is my karma, I can do nothing. Karma in Hebrew is translated as tikkun, and it means to repair and to correct. In Hindu, it's for you to take action. In Sanskrit, it's to make or to do. So the idea is that if we can do, in order for us, when we're experiencing these gigantic events, you know, we have a major snowstorm that's coming, barreling toward us right now. When these giant snowstorms happen, like it happened in late December in California, Colorado, Oregon, 18 feet of snow fell in a week. When that kind of catastrophic thing happens, and it blocked everything. And when these kind of things happen, you cannot stop them. But that experience can help many people realize, for those of many people who were climate change deniers, or 4 weeks before that, early part of December, 3 weeks before that, in the Midwest, in December, more than 60 tornado touchdown. Unheard of. Tornado need very warm weather for it to, and apparently there was enough warm weather for 60 of them to touch down. So it's allowing human beings who are climate change deniers to awaken to a different reality and to realize, so these events need to happen. This is why I'm talking about the omens. It's not that you can change the event and overnight like this, you take a big eraser, you swipe it off. They're still gonna happen, even with the asking for mercy. But the mercy is for us to learn the karma faster, because the karma is not an eye for an eye and a teeth for teeth. It's actually about balance. And the moment the lesson is learned, the correction is done. The tikkun is done. The karma is done. You don't need to experience the other side of the pendulum for you to learn it. And the moment you understand it and you assimilate the process and you learn the wisdom, it's gone. The karma is balanced. So the nuance of what I'm saying is that I don't want you to believe that you have to, you know, yes, we can pray to a higher power and the mercy can change quite a bit. But I don't believe that the experience themselves will disappear overnight and all of a sudden they're not there, because humanity will not have learned anything. We still are going to experience the discomfort until we have made the correction. We have taken, collectively, we have taken action to create the correction. Now, the prayer may awaken us faster to get to the correction. And therefore, the experience will land softer. I hope you understand the nuance of what I'm saying. I hope that part is clear. Any questions, any comments? I know that many of you have had the water dream. So some of you have privately share your experience with that, you know, of that with me. So I know that many of you are aware of that experience. Any questions, any comments? Before I move on and talk a little bit about higher virtue for the next half hour, I wanted to just say that in the reporting for the tsunami waves that have been recorded, they said it's between 1-2 feet to 3 feet, which is not bad. What I saw was several hundred feet tall. So as I saw, and in the second dream I had on Saturday, the water was up to my up to the top of my knee, which is maybe about 3 feet. And I don't know. I wish I had, when I woke up from the dream, I had looked at the time, because I didn't, so that I could clock it and look at the time difference for Tonga to see if the dream occurred while the eruption was happening. I think it did, given the time difference. I think it did, but I'm not sure, because I didn't wake up to clock myself. Any questions, any comments? So as we are proceeding, and again, with the mercy of Kuan, the mercy of all the higher powers that you're praying to, it creates, it opens other higher virtue for, at least it did for me. Now, to say that once I realized that yesterday afternoon that the dreams that I've been having were not the fabrication of my mind, that it was actually a prediction, it actually made me feel good. And that feel good brought my ego in, okay? And my ego felt vindicated. My ego felt that I was right. And then right after that, I realized that it was, again, my ego that was getting involved. I became aware of that rather quickly. And I then realized that it was the mercy of God that was able to step down that experience and make it something so much softer. And at that moment, it brought me into a perception or a feeling of gratitude. Now, some of you have heard me say this before, and I'm going to repeat it again, but in the context of this experience. We've been doing the cultivation of the virtue in the Ascension Yoga of Mutuality, which is the third class in the four class series for you to become a Melchizedek priest or priestess. That class is about the realization that the fragments of your monad, a monad is a term that, a Greek term that means one, and from 5D, we descended from 5D into 4D, and from 4D into 3D. So from 5D into 3D, we fragmented into 12. Because when you go down the dimensional scale, you have to make yourself smaller. When you go up the dimensional scale, you have to rejoin yourself like Humpty Dumpty. You have to, there's a term that I often use when I do the monadic prayer. I am fixed design. Fixed meaning not like steady in one place, but fixed in what was broken and put back together, right? So when you're descending, it's a fragmented experience. You're breaking pieces apart, and the pieces that you're losing are actually virtues, higher emotions, or powers. You disconnect to them so that you can become small and exist in a lesser version of yourself in 4D. And from 4D, you descend even further into 3D. So each of the 12 that were in 4D then fragment again into another 12. So you end up being 1 out of 144. The process of ascension is a reverse engineering of that fragmentation. It means that you have to go back and bring all of these pieces back together again so that you can become fixed design. And that process requires that you connect, this is the third class, to the higher emotions that you existed in when you were 5D. There are 12 major emotions that exist in these fragments of ourselves, because these fragments are not gone, they are just not connected to our consciousness. They exist around us, torsion field and morphogenic field, but they are not connected to us at this moment. We are not conscious of them. So what we're doing in the process of this reverse engineering is to try to elicit from those fragments that are out there, not connected to us, to teach us these virtues back. Because right now in 3D, as a one fragment out of 144, I can only, most people on the planet experience fear, sometimes they may experience love, but we experience panic, we try to hoard, we experience a limited amount of 6 or 7 different emotions. And all of it revolves around survival. So the other high emotion, like mercy, we were just talking about, compassion, we have an intellectual understanding, which is more dictionary-based and cognitive frontal lobe understanding, like an interpolation as to what it means. But to say that viscerally in our entire body, when we say mercy, or when we say compassion, or when we say peace, that we understand it, we don't have it. Most people on the planet don't have access to it because it exists in a fragment somewhere and we don't have a connection to it. So the cultivation of the virtue is a process, and it is a process where you call upon these fragments and ask them to teach you back what you have disconnected to yourself. So the 12 virtues are peace, love, mastery, control, obedience, wisdom, harmony, gratitude, justice, reality, vision, victory. Now, the way the practice goes, you do it daily, and you're constantly asking, you go down the list, you call upon the entire monad, all 144 pieces, and you ask for the Christed aspect of yourself to teach you, for example, the peace that they know. That if you were at peace, what would you feel? What would you know? What would you understand in you? And you wait energetically for something to come to you, an impression. And then you go down the list, once that occurs, to the next one, love. If I were truly unconditionally loving, what would I feel? What would I know? What would I understand in my body? And you wait for an impression. And you go down the list: mastery, control, obedience. And you you ask for all these pieces to come to you one by one, and you wait energetically for an impression to come to you. Now, I can tell you the exercise is very subtle. Okay, sometimes some of them you'll get big impression. Other times, you will perceive energetically something really big, something that may not be initially describable by any, because we have a range of 6 or 7 different emotions. It's a very narrow scope. So whatever it is that part of you is trying to teach you, you have forgotten it long ago. And in this process, whatever shows up, something is going to show up. You're going to have an impression or a feeling or a sensation of some kind. And it's going to be complicated to try to figure out what that sensation, perception, knowing actually is. And it's only by you, day by day, going back over the same thing over again, going to the list, the peace, the love, the mastery, the control, the wisdom, the gratitude. As you go over each one of them and you begin that this impression, whatever is emerging or coming to you, will begin to become more defined. It's like you're walking in a fog and you cannot see in front of you, but you know something is in the fog out there. And as you get closer and closer to it, the silhouette begins to take shape, and you begin to see, and it begins to reveal itself to you. So over time, as you're doing this, it's the same experience. You will begin to slowly begin to understand that something is there. I'm feeling something, but I don't know exactly how to describe it, because you don't have a point of reference in the experience you've been having for multiple lifetimes in this planet, which is limited to this narrow scope of emotions. So it takes a minute for you to sit and to acclimate yourself to what's showing up in the horizon. This is true spiritual intelligence, because it's the fragment of yourself, of your own spirit, that's teaching it back to you. And I wanted to describe all of this to you because I wanted to share with you how gratitude showed up for me, because it was huge. It was immense for me. Up to that point, no emotion, no emotion on that list ever showed up in that level. So I am, it was a period of almost 2.5 months. Every time I got to gratitude. If I were grateful, what would I feel? What would I know? What would I understand in me? After I was done and I'm waiting for an impression to show up, something huge was there. I couldn't describe it. I couldn't find a vocabulary, a language, or something to try to grasp onto what I was feeling. But something immense was there. I kept on going back to it every day, every day, every day. It got closer. The sensation, it's like almost like a column or something was there, and I couldn't figure out. I was like turning my head. I'm like, with my eyes closed, I'm trying to figure out exactly what this is. And then one day, by the grace of God, I was sitting with it, and I'm like, I'm feeling something. What am I feeling? What is it? What am I feeling? And I heard at that very moment the word reverence. And I remember it was like, it's a slight whisper, like when not loud, the loud voice is never the voice of God. It's a slight whisper. It's his reverence. It's just like almost fleeting, like almost like a wave that washed into you. And I'm like, reverence. And I remember saying to myself, and at that moment, if you could see my face, I was like Scooby-Doo. One of my ears went, huh? Like reverence, really? And I'm like, I don't understand. What does reverence, I'm saying to myself now, what does reverence have to do with gratitude? And I waited for an answer. And at that moment, the same whisper washed over me again. It took, I don't know, a few seconds, 10 seconds, 15, I don't know how long it took. But I was not going to move because I was getting somewhere. And it washed over me. And at that moment, clearly I heard deep and profound reverence for the gift received. At that moment, my whole body, every cell in my body was resonating and shaking. Like I was having an orgasm with that. It's not just one feeling. That's why I couldn't get it. Because these higher emotions are so sophisticated that we tend to, have it equal one word. But it was a whole set, deep and profound reverence for the gift received. Everything inside of me was shaking and resonating like I was having an orgasm with that very specific sensation radiating for every cell, every viscerally out of my body. I was shaking, I was trembling, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I sat with it. I don't know how long I sat in it. And then I did something, and this is how you learn, I suppose. But as a Capricorn, the list has 4 more things in it. You have to that justice, reality, vision, and victory. I'm like, well, I have to move on with the list. We're moving now into, if I were just, what would I feel? What would I know in my body? I couldn't move. As I cast for the next piece to come in with justice, I was still in gratitude. That feeling was still with me. It was so big. I was inside this bubble. No matter what I did that day, I couldn't move from it. It engulfed every cell in my being. And as it should. As it should, because
that was enough for the day.
Because this is something I'm relearning. And thank God I had a breakthrough. And for the next 2 days, every time I try to do, even the first one on the list, which is peace, gratitude showed up at the very beginning. And I had to relearn what that feeling was like. It was not till 3 days after, on the 4th day rather, after that I was able to go back to the practice because it stayed with me. Now imagine for a moment, okay, that there are actually, this is one emotion, one higher virtue, one higher emotion. Imagine for a moment that there are actually 143 others that we need to learn as well. And every one of them will give you a similar experience, an orgasmic or visceral connection to the high emotion. By the time we've learned all of this, we're not going to be the same being again. We can't. Our consciousness is going to be so shifted and so altered because each of these emotions have a power. And I don't want you to think of power like it's force. Because when we say power in in 3D reality, we equate it to force. It's not force. For example, the mercy of Kuan Yin, the mercy that I'm feeling has a power, but that mercy is not forced. It actually is broadcast and it radiates. It's an act of generosity. And that's the power of it. But it's not force. It's not something you're trying to coerce somebody to do. The gratitude is the same way. It has a power. But that power is not force. All of the higher emotions are the same way. They have a power, but the power is an act of generosity, of radiation, of broadcasting, and of entrainment. Any questions, any comments that you may have?
Yeah, I loved your testimony, and I kept thinking about that scene in when Sally met Harry, and she's sitting at the table, and she has that orgasmic experience, and the other people look at her and say, "Whatever it is she has, I want some of that."
Yep.
And I said, that's the way you feel when you listen and you say, well, wherever it takes to get you to that point, I said, I want some of that. I said, because the things that you think that you have, put aside and laid down, in your own life, and then your body tells you you're carrying something because you're feeling it in your body. And I had been doing the meditation, the Kuan Yin meditation, and it must have been about a week ago, maybe before that, my shoulder was bothering me, and I thought maybe I was sleeping on it wrong. And so, of course, I stopped sleeping that way. But then the shoulder was it is still bothering me. And I was at the point where I couldn't even think. I couldn't think to put a sentence together because the pain in the shoulder was so deep, it was like through the bone. And I said, well, I said, am I having a heart attack? And I don't know it. I said, because women have different, symptoms than men. And I said, no, if I was having a heart attack, I would have been gone by now, because it shouldn't take this long for me to know that I'm having a heart attack. And this shoulder is still in this deep, 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 level of pain. And all I could say is, have mercy. Have mercy. I couldn't even pinpoint and say what I want that mercy for. But all I could say was, Lord, thou knowest. Thou knowest. Just have mercy. I can't sleep. I can't sit up. I can't stay up for a long time. That deep, deep, deep down in your bone kind of it's like almost like a hollowness, like if you had a very, very bad toothache, and it just feels like everything in you is hurting. And I'm asking myself, what is it that you're holding on to? Your shoulders have a spiritual significance. What are you holding on to? What are you trying to carry? Why then you put whatever that is down? I don't even know what it is. But I said, Lord, whatever it is, Lord, have mercy. Have mercy. You can't save the world by yourself. You can't even save yourself by yourself. Put it down. And all I could say is mercy. Lord, mercy. And leave it as such. So I'm looking toward having that experience that you had where every fiber in your body knows something has happened. Something has shifted in you. Just
Yeah.
wanted to share that experience. Thank you.
And maybe
Lydia,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you
Yes.
revisit Lord Melchizedek's whatchamacallit meditation that Pierre did on Resac? It helps actually
baby.
when you're in pain.
Yes. Well, I will. I am doing it, so I will do it again with
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
reverence. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, and maybe as well as the suggestions, Lydia, I'm sure you already probably are doing this, but ask your monad, including Kuan Yin, to teach you the mercy that she knows.
Mm.
And let that mercy be installed in you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Hmm?
You need to be merciful to yourself, to your own body.
Yes.
Because I know you say, Lydia, you're busy taking care of the grandkids, everybody else. You're not doing for yourself what you should. I'm the same way too. I'm not judging you, okay? I'm not pointing the finger at you. I do the exact same thing. I'm busy rescuing everyone, and I'm not paying attention to myself. And we need to be, what the way that Dr. Stone puts it, you have to be spiritually selfish. Put yourself first. Because if you're strong, everybody around you will benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the addiction that all of us that are caring have.
Yeah.
We always put other people first, and we forget about us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really an addiction.
Yeah.
All right.
And whatever that experience is, whatever the burden is, and the last email I had sent some of you is gate, paragate, parasamgate, buhi sova. It's a 5-minute mantra. It basically it's the prajna paramita. This is the exact mantra that Kuan Yin recited for years until she became enlightened. And all Buddhas have done the exact same thing. And it basically translates over, is it completely over? Awaken, so be it. And what you're saying is that you're over all of the attachment. You're like, it's the same thing as saying, I release all attachment, all fears, and all control. And I surrender into the great emptiness. Every time I say this, it shifts something big for me. It's not even 6 minutes long. But if you understand, because there is a translation in the thing, if you understand the word and you understand the context, what you're saying is gone is your attachment to people, places, things, to identity, to everything. You're releasing all of it. And you're awakened into who you really are.
Yeah.
That's very, the way I do it to explain the 26-minute Kuan Yin mantra. I do it in the morning, and then
Which one is that one?
I'll send you the email. Okay, I'll send you.
Okay, thank you.
With all of the various mantras, including the Heart Sutra from Kuan Yin. That particular mantra, the first one, that's 26 minutes. I say it in the morning. That's the one that's asking for the mercy of Kuan Yin. The other one, the Prajna Paramita, that one I say it later, either in the afternoon or evening, because I find that if I say them back to back, my body doesn't know which way it's going. It's too much. Okay? Because I'm not as smart as I think I am energetically. Okay? Because the first one brings mercy, this one is enlightenment. They are not the same feeling, the same emotion, the same thing. They are correlated to each other, but they are not the same. So I need to create space, and then I do the second one. This is the way my body works. I need to isolate them separately. It's just a suggestion. If you find that you need to block an hour and do all of them back to back, and you can do it and it works for you, then great. For me, it doesn't work because my body is so confused, I don't know where I am. Because the other one is the one that says Bade Guanxi Ying Pusa Nano. And it basically translates, hail be the Bodhisattva that hears the cry of the world. And this is the one where you're asking for her mercy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, Pierre, I'm sorry. Can you repeat? I somehow I was listening, but I missed it. I heard the last two that you said, what that means. The very first one, Omni Padme Hum. Can you repeat that?
It's not Omni Padme Hum. That's not what I said.
Okay.
I did not say this. The first one is the last email I sent. It's Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattva, which is Prajna Paramita. And it translates into gone.
That I got that part. I'm sorry, you don't need to repeat that. Okay, and the second one is the U.S. for mercy.
Yes.
So then the first one we also got the one with the Omni Padme Hum.
That one is for you. Is to remove negative karma.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we take a 5-minute break and then we'll do a closing meditation. 5 minutes. So Lydia, are you back?
Yeah.
Okay, I have an insight for you, if you don't mind.
No.
Okay, so one of the things that we have to be very careful is that we don't take the vow of the Bodhisattva too quickly when we are not ready. And we start absorbing the pain and the suffering of the world. That will break us apart.
Okay.
You have to be fully enlightened, fully Buddha-like to take that vow. My suspicion is that there's a part of your soul that is so aligned with Kuan Yin's mission that you're now already absorbing the pain and the suffering of others. That's what you're feeling in your shoulder. So you need to ask Kuan Yin to remove that burden and realize that you're not there yet. It's premature.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Let us get started. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. I call upon all monad and mighty I am presence and the 144 Christed aspects of us that compose our entire monadic body. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. I ask that you teach me the higher virtues show me the peace that you know. If I were at peace, what sensations, perceptions, and knowing would exist in me? Share and merge with me your love. If I were unconditionally loving, what feelings, emotions, sensations, and knowing would this create in me? Share and merge with me your mastery. If I were a true ascended master, what would I feel? What would I sense? What would I understand and know in me? Share and merge with me you're controlled. If I were in a state of cosmic alignment, how would control show up for me? What would I know? What would I understand? What would I experience? Please share and merge with me your obedience. If I were perfectly obedient to the blessed field, What would I feel? What would I know? What would I understand in me? Share and merge with me your wisdom. If I were perfectly wise, what would I feel? What would I understand? What would I process in me? Please share and merge with me. Your harmony. If I were in perfect harmony with myself, with the entire universe, and with God, what would I sense, feel, experience, and know in me? Please share and merge with me the gratitude that you know. If I were truly grateful, what feelings, emotions, sensations, and awareness would this create for me. Please share and merge with me the justice that you know. If I were truly just, what insights, knowing, feeling, and experience would this create in me? Please share and merge with me the reality that you know. If I were to understand the true nature of all realities, what expansion, insight, knowing, and feeling would this create in me? Please share and merge with me the vision that you know. If I were to have perfect inner and outer vision, what would I perceive? What would I know? What would I understand in me? Please share and merge with me the victory that you know. If I became victorious, in the merger of my monad, what elevation, expansion, insight, and knowing would this create in me? Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, open your eyes. How you all feeling?
Traveling.
Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Blessings.
Thank you.
I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight and for listening to me and following me. If you're listening to us on YouTube or on Patreon, I want to thank you for your support. Subscribe to the channel, share it so that our algorithm will increase. Like this video as well. Deep love to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Be safe out there in the snow, and I will talk to you next week. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Love you. Good night.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bobby, give me a call. Bobby, give me a call.
Who
Is
you asking?
Bobby there? Bobby, I'm asking her to call me. She wants to-
Did you hear that?
Okay, I will.
No, okay. All right, good night,
You want
everyone.
me to come?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Um,
Good night.